Done. Calculating. None. Crazy.
Alright guys, so here we have the Mazda 3 bumper, which it's not in its entirety, but this is the bumper we are going to be painting first. So the first thing we have to do, because it's hard to lay this bumper flat, is take off this skid plate. So we're going to remove all these bolts, and then we're going to go ahead and give this bumper a good cleaning with some Dawn dish soap and water. And we're using Dawn because Dawn strips a lot of waxes and greases, as other automotive car washes, they actually retain some of those, and we don't want any grease, wax on the bare surface. So when we paint it, everything applies just right. Alright, now we got most of the stuff disassembled already from the bumper. So here is the bumper in its virgin state. There are some scratches on this side. As you can see, there's some deep scratches, nicks, crannies. I mean, remember guys, this bumper was from a car that hit a tree. It's telling us the exact paint instructions right over here. So let me just go over it real quick with you. Clean the surface with soap and water, scuff or wet sand the entire primed surface lightly with a scuff pad or 1000 to 1200 grit sandpaper. So the good thing is, originally I wasn't sure if this bumper was primered already or just raw plastic, but I'm glad it's been primered. That way it saves us some steps, and I can explain that in a little bit. Because if the plastic is in its raw form, then you definitely need to only scuff pad it. Don't sand a raw plastic bumper. Also, when it's raw plastic, you are going to want to use an adhesion promoter before you apply the primer or the paint. On a primered bumper like this, technically the manufacturer applies adhesion promoter and then the primer. Now this isn't a Bible thing where this is exactly how every manufacturer does it, but that's how most of them will do it. That's pretty much all we're gonna do. And it says right here, note, this bumper has been primed with solvent type primer. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna probably scuff up some of these areas with a 500 grit where it has some scratches, some deeper scratches. And then we are gonna go over the scuff pad in its entirety. And typically you want to use a block when you do the sanding, so it's nice and flat. We're going to use a sponge right here because we're just improvising right now. So let's go ahead, clean this section up with 500. We are going to be wet sanding here, ladies. Alright guys, so I actually ended up scuffing it with 500 very lightly throughout the surface because it just had a ton of debris on it that you could feel while you rub your hand over it. So I lightly scuffed the whole bumper with 500. The areas that had some scratches, I scuffed them a little bit more, but again, the light scratches I was able to scuff out nice and smooth, but like this big long line right here definitely needs some work. And there's just some minor other scratches that we'll probably have to hit this one with 220 again and a 500 just to smooth it out. I'm not gonna do Bondo or filler or anything like that because that's not the goal of this whole thing, but let's try to smooth it out a little bit so the paint can lay down a little bit nicer. Alright, so I got 120 grit here, and we're just gonna use this to focus on this big scratch right over here. Alright guys, and look at all that dirt we just picked up. We still got a leaf blower, so we're going to use that leaf blower next and just blow all this out. Then we'll be able to prime. Alright guys, one thing is this paint container didn't come with a cap. I don't know how I didn't realize that, but we went to Harbor Freights and we picked up these disposable containers. It's actually might be a little bit bigger, so we're going to be using that. And this is what we got going on. Air compressors hooked up. The fans we bought, we got them hooked up. These are all 3 exhaust fans, so the only air that's going to be coming in is just going to be naturally vented through here. We got the water hose as well over here. Water hose, I'm going to make sure I keep this area wet as well as the inside of the garage wet. Now let's step inside right over here. Whoa, let's see what we got. So we got everything wired up right over here, a lot of wires. Again, everything has been cleaned, and this floor is going to be wet during the procedure. We got the bumper on a few buckets that we cleaned as well, and then we got 2 halogen lights right over here, right over here. This one's a little different Kelvin, that's why it's a little bluer. I think this is maybe like a 4, this is maybe a 6. We have another halogen light. These probably are like 2300, so they're a bit more yellow. This little spotlight is another 23 Kelvin light, and then we got this light right over here. This one is probably 5 or 6K. So it's just enough light so I can see where to paint. I tried to elevate this up a little bit from the floor, so when I'm spraying that gun, I'm not picking up a lot of the dirt and debris from on the floor. Again, it's going to be wet, so that should help it. And then I got some of my paint supplies. We're almost ready to paint. I'm going to dry this off. We're going to use that wax and grease remover, and then really we're ready to go. But before that, before we spray, I'm going to make sure that we drain the air compressor a few times. There's a drain bolt on the bottom, and just in case it has any moisture, I don't think it's been drained this season, we're gonna give it about 3 fill-ups and 3 drains. Hopefully that removes all the moisture here, and we'll be ready to go. And then again, we'll do a QC on the gun. We'll spray some lacquer thinner through it first to make sure the gun is clean before we put any paint in it. Oh, look at that. Alright guys, at this point we drained the compressor 3 times. Now we're just going to make sure the gun is working properly. We're going to check my ratio right now. I'm going to adjust my PSI. And again, I'm watching right over here if I'm getting any moisture in my air, my catch can pretty much. And we can always drain that. But everything looks good. So again, we're running right around 30, 27, 28. Spray this thing down. Alright guys, so this is about it, man. We're ready to go. I'm gonna get suited up. We're gonna start mixing the paint. We're gonna start wax and grease removing this, and let's get it going. Right now, the temperature is 78 degrees, 78.4, 51% humidity, so not too bad, guys. Let's run it. Alright guys, I just put some acetone in my paint cup. I'm going to spray it outside right here just to clean out the gun a little bit. Old painter's trick. Just so you don't touch Just because all this is loose. Yeah. That's right, baby. I'm gonna do it professional. Here we got the primer, gentlemen. It is very hot right now. This whole process is a bigger pain in the ass than I ever expected. I mean, just setting up this garage, cleaning it, prepping it with the water, mixing cup, making sure the ratios are right. See, we're eyeballing everything. I'm not sure how much to dilute the primer with the acetone. We are gonna go with acetone. I think I'm gonna go like 5 parts, or I'm gonna go like 10. What is it? I'm gonna go like 10 to 12 ounces of primer and then like 3 ounces of acetone. That's what we're gonna go with. I mean, there's no correct answer. We'll see how it sprays. I got the gun set up, spraying pretty good. So we'll just see. I mean, again, my first time. I got the fans going. That's why it might be a little louder right now to hear me, but yeah. This cup has a lot of ratios here, but we're just gonna go and use this side right here. So we're gonna go with let's go 10 ounces primer, and then acetone's gonna go up to 16, so 3 parts. And we're gonna use the acetone, ladies and gentlemen. So we're gonna get this up to about, well, we're at like 11 ounces, so we're gonna get this up to about 15. That's pretty milky. So hopefully we didn't thin it out too much. We'll see. Filming and doing all this is a nightmare. Alright guys, paint is ready, it's mixed up. Let's spray some more water on the floor. Let's wax grease remove, tack it, and let's get ready to paint. I just wanted to show you guys the bumper right now.
Look at that. Alright guys, that's the first coat right now.
Alright, we just did the first primer coat. Laid down pretty good. I'm just getting a feel for the gun. We're gonna give it about 10 or 15 minutes. We're gonna give it a second coat and see what happens. Hopefully we get some better coverage. And I'm thinking about maybe doing 3 or 4 coats. I mean, honestly, as long as I got the primer in the gun, I'll keep shooting. Second coat just went on. Pretty smooth, not too bad. It looks like it's gonna rain soon, or maybe in the next hour or so. Man, this is draining, I'm not gonna lie. It's hot. It's hot, and it's 71 or 72 today, so I can't imagine somebody painting this in like 80, 90 degree weather. Whew. 2 more coats and we should be good to go, guys. And this is the setup from outside. We got the 3 exhaust fans running, compressor getting fresh air from outside, and then whatever air gets in here. That's the intake. I gotta hose down this whole thing again because it dried out already, so let's do that next. Alright guys, so second coat went down. The third coat I'm going to try to go slower, steadier, and lay down a little thicker coat of primer. And then 3 or 4 coats, like I said, done deal. So far I'm pretty happy with how everything is coming out. All right. Whew. Third coat just went down. We went heavier. We went a lot heavier. We went a lot slower. And I'm trying to keep my hands a little bit closer, maybe like, 7 inches away from the surface. So this time it went a lot nicer. I didn't see any runs right now. So there's still plenty of primer left in the gun. So, I'm gonna use it, man. We're gonna do a 4th coat right now, pretty thick again, and then that should be it. If I still have primer, shit, I'll do a 5th coat. Why not? Keep practicing. So it is starting to rain right now, but hopefully the humidity doesn't pick up, because that might be an issue with how the primer's gonna cure. But we're almost done, so I'm not really concerned. All right, guys, so we're gonna lay down the 4th coat right now. It is raining. Humidity did pick up probably by about 5-6%, which still should be fine. I got the good ventilation over here. So let's lay another thick coat on, and then I think we'll be done for today. I was thinking about possibly painting today, but with the rain and everything, and this thing being really exhausting, I haven't been eating anything yet. So I'm gonna call the quits after I lay down the primer today. We'll get back here tomorrow. Let's lay down this last coat and see how she looks.
We still got this much paint left.
Alright guys, we got everything cleaned up. The mixing cup is clean. The actual paint cup, nice and clean. We cleaned the gun really good. Problem though, our air filter cracked. I'm not sure, I'm pretty sure I didn't drop it when I was cleaning the gun and I was airing it out. I noticed air hissing out of here, so this is cracked. Darn Chinese equipment right here. So we're gonna email this eBay seller, mention how crappy this is, see if he can do anything for us. Ain't ready to go for another day once we can fix the gun and get a filter on it. Other than that, this is the bumper right here. Came out pretty darn good. I mean, obviously there's some scratches on there that we did not put any kind of Bondo or anything on there because we're not at that level yet, but overall looks pretty good. Man, you know that 50% overlap that they tell you to spray? You cannot see anything when you're spraying, especially white maybe. I don't know. You cannot see. I'm kind of gauging where I went and where I was, but it's pretty difficult to see that 50% overlap. Guys, terrible weather. It's been raining for the last hour, pretty hard, but I mean, we finished this right when it started to rain, so we're just gonna let it air dry. Right now it is 70 degrees and humidity went up to 75%. I think when we were spraying, I gotta look back in the video, but I think we were right around 50 or 60% humidity, which is still a little high, but everything came out good. So I'll catch you guys back once we get the gun fixed, and then we'll be ready to spray the beautiful yellow color on this.
I ain't here for the money, I ain't here for the fame. Though it might be nice to own a jet plane, I'ma do it all for you. Come along and see it's true, but the world is pretty cold. You might need a sweater too. I'ma put a ride on ya. Kid from California, trying to make it in life. In school they never taught ya. Dream